We literally are losing moms, probably a few a month or so.
Moms are committing suicide because of this. A lot of moms are committing suicide.
The number one tactic is for them to say, well, Shakta says she's unstable. She has mental health issues.
Mom goes in with true allegations. Kids come in with true allegations. Mom is silenced. Mom is told that she is crazy and unstable for even breathing in court. I mean, they're like, you're too emotional. The agencies, the foster care and CPS agencies are raking in millions, multi-millions of dollars, and then they need kids. So they're just on the prowl for kids. They'll make up whatever they have to make up and take your kid and put them into foster care because that's their job and that's money for them. There's bonuses attached to that. It's a sale. Your kid is a sale. They're on the prowl for money, and there are price tags attached to these kids' heads in CPS, foster care, and family court. So
this is Lioness Letters, a place for the mothers who were never heard, but never stopped loving. These are our stories of being silenced, separated, erased, in the long, sacred return. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Kelly.
And these are our letters to you.
Testing, 127. I don't even know the words. 6, 7. Oh, we can't make, if my kids see this, it's too much. They should not. I'm going to have 20 more years of supervised visits. Kids see this is not good.
Well, my kids are obsessed with it. They say it all the time. And I'm younger and I still like, what does it mean? And I'm like Googling, what does 6, 7 mean?
And nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. Actually, shout out to one of my friends. I saw her and her husband. She doesn't even know that I saw this, and I hope that she gets to guess if I'm talking about her. But her and her husband, one was 6 and one was 7 as Halloween.
Really?
I'm like, that's so cute. They're a really cute couple too. So I'm like, that's just so cute. And they have a kid in one of my kids' grades. And one of my kids' classes. And so my younger two are into 6, 7. My older two are like, you're annoying.
Yeah.
Like the
6, 7 wrapping paper for Christmas. There's like Santas and there's 6, 7 on there.
Send it a link for my younger two.
Yeah.
That's actually, I need to do that.
It's really cute, actually. And then for the boys, they do like their Halloween parade at school. We all come in their costumes, and they were all walking, and all the teachers and the kids were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's so cute. It was so cute. This was the first year I missed. I have been a regular. I actually volunteer at that mom I was talking about. She does the Christmas shop at our school, and this is the first year in 10 years I think I haven't done the Christmas shop. There were a couple years I didn't do it in between, but this was the first year I didn't get to do the Halloween parade too for my son. All my girls are past the point, but I always did K through 5. And then middle school, they just do like class parties. But this was the first year I missed, so I pray I get to at least see his last year next year for 5th grade.
Oh, yeah, because they're only in elementary for so long. I feel like I've been robbed of a whole year. And well, now, yeah. Well, this year I've got to be more. I've been permitted to be more involved this year. But last year it was like completely nothing.
Did they say why you were much better this year? Were there steps that you had to follow, or no, they just magically decided that you were fine now and you could just be more involved?
Well, basically, I just got out of some things.
Yeah.
And I just got to suddenly be a mom again. I got to be allowed.
Yeah. They're not like, oh, do these steps, don't do these steps. They're just like, you can do but they just make up a certain amount of time, and they're like supervised visits for this amount of time. And you're like, well, why am I on supervised visits? And they're like, just because. And then they're like, just because. And we're like, okay, you're not safe. Yeah, you are not safe. And so you're unstable. Yes. So that's the new thing with, it used to be people on supervised visits.
Oh, yeah.
Were like heroin addicts.
Supervised visits was supposed to be for like
sex offenders,
people who were like major criminals, right?
Like drug issue, like they could not stay sober around their children. Right. Couldn't make, they're touching their kids. They had, like, there's no boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's
like now there is age used as like a tactic. Like, okay, we're gonna put you on supervised visits, just because.
Yeah,
because we said so.
Only moms. Only moms. The dads, actually, if you are a sex offender or an abuser, you're winning full custody.
Yeah.
Us moms are on supervised visits. We don't know why.
Let's help him get better.
Let's help him. Yes, dads are given a lot of chances and they're like, oh, let's
help recuperate. We need to put him with the kids.
Yes, we need to reunify. The relocation.
No. Separates.
Dangerous. She is bad. She's going to hurt those kids.
Yep.
She is going to hurt those kids. Even though there has been several years of non-hurting the kids, she's now, you got to watch. So now it's very dangerous.
But I mean, him, like maybe he was just going through a hard time, you know? Maybe he just was having a bad day.
Yeah.
So we should just let him recuperate.
For sure. For sure. That's definitely,
it makes a lot of sense, really. Whenever you say it out loud,
it makes so much sense that you're like, he is an abuser. He has a domestic violence record. Let's reunify him with the kids that are begging to be away from him. Let's put them all together and let them work it out. I think that's like the best solution. And let's put mom in prison because she's the problem. She is the problem. These teenagers, my favorite part is when the teens, like we were talking to Allie and we're like, my favorite thing is the teens who are 16.
Yeah.
And we're trusting them to drive. I just love to use the driving analogy because mine is going to be right there. And I'm like, when I talk to her, I'm like, you're judging their logic. And I know a lot of parents of teens are like, you're thinking in your mind, like you're having conversations with them and they're still making like dumb jokes. And you're just like, so they're going to be out on the road. Like, and so, but that's what it is. And so we are trusting them with these huge adult decisions. But then you go to court and they're like, oh my God, this 16-year-old baby?
Yeah.
She had to be coached by her parents.
Possibly have a mind of her own.
How dare she decide that she had to have been coached because there's no way that a child would not want to be around a parent. There's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
They just could not think of these things on their own, which is really funny because I was 12 in this same county. I was 12 years old in the same county and I chose what I wanted to do and where I wanted to live. And that was a life-changing decision.
And then I see him, right? They'll let you say it and choose.
My guardian ad litem, it was 2000, the year 2000 and 2001. And it was Summit County, Ohio. And my parents, it took them a long time to grow up. Okay, it was not good for a while. I don't usually talk about my childhood too much of, how that was because my parents finally grew up when they became grandparents and are amazing grandparents. So I really like to credit them where they're at because they are incredible now. And I'm very, very grateful because a lot of millennials are cutting off their boomer parents because the boomer parents are just, they're set in their ways and there's no accountability. And they're like, well, I did the best I could, whatever. Like my parents are like, we were a rat. We're really sorry, Cal, but like, we're going to do our best to be better and be grandparents. And I gave them that chance because I believe in forgiveness and all of those things. So, and I'm grateful. It was a beautiful chance. And my kids have amazing grandparents who are there for them. Drop of a hat. They call Mimi or Grandpa and they are there. Like,
right.
Even before me, they'll be like, some of my kids will be like, I'm going to call Grandpa. You're bothering me. Like, you're annoying me.
But at 12 years old,
yes. So bad
because you knew that they were not the best.
It wasn't having you were
able to tell the courts where you wanted to be.
Absolutely. At age 6 to 8, if you're being mistreated and what they're doing is the parental alienation.
Right.
They are, so what happens is a mom comes into court with abuse or neglect allegations. And we were coming from a period of co-parenting. And so neither one of us wanted to be done with co-parenting, but it got so bad that my kids are begging. My older kids, my teenagers are begging. Actually, my youngest daughter's the most, she's the most aware. And she came to me first. She's not even 12 yet, but she came to me first and knew. And she was like, this is not going well. This is not good. They like to create an appearance, dad and stepmom, of things going very well. And so when they were doing better, I don't believe in tearing down the other parent publicly, but I do believe in telling the truth. And I do believe in I believe in kids' rights before parents' rights.
Right.
And that's what the court does not believe in. So I think that when a child gets to a certain age, they should be able to have a choice.
I thought that they could. I thought that it was like 12 and above or 13 and above. They got to choose. They got to say.
There is no law. So in Ohio, I know especially the law, it was 12, but then in the early 90s, it was changed. And so it's now case by case basis. So in my case, I had I was blessed. I think it was, a God moment where I had a guardian ad litem who really trusted me and believed me, as guardian ad litem should. There's not very many of those anymore. If there are any at all, maybe like a very small handful, right, are believing children and trusting children of 12 or older. But there is no age. So it's case by case basis. But what's happening is they're forcing 16 and 17-year-olds to stay with their abuser, and they're telling them that they're brainwashed and they're being parentally alienated. It's not even a diagnosable. It's not even on the DSM-5 as a diagnosable anything, but lawyers and judges are saying, oh, look at this diagnosis of parental alienation. That's what they must be doing. So you go.
Well, usually if one of them is coerced, it's the other way around. Because a parent can kind of coerce a child to reject the other parent.
Or the other sex,
right?
Yes.
Like usually, it's more the abuser.
Yeah.
That's coercing the children to reject the other parent. And I would say 9 times out of 10, it's the father coercing them to reject the mom.
Yes. Like you saw with Allie. And I put on my social media the difference between the parental alienation syndrome and parental alienation. And so moms are going into court with true allegations of abuse or neglect. And we talked about how only 1% to 2% of those allegations are actually false.
It's very rare for a woman to be lying if she lands abuse.
Yeah.
Very, very rare.
Especially for children.
Right.
So they go in with those claims. And so then you go in with these honest claims, even with older children, teenagers testifying. All of my kids testified, of course. And the dad, all he has to go in and say is, she's alienating these kids from me. There was no abuse committed. And you can have a stack of evidence this high. You can have testimonies. You can have the kids testifying. And they dismiss and cover it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And literally,
they give
custody.
They got them there. Yeah.
Every single time. Well, 95% of cases, that's happening too.
And a lot of times, whenever you go in and hire an attorney, they tell you, do not use the A word. Just don't even say abuse, because you'll probably lose your kids if you do.
Yep. Mine didn't say that. Mine's like, we have a great case. We have so many things stacked against us. But then I reached out to the guardian ad litem director. And apparently that was what I was told. That's what lost custody. But also then my daughter not going. There were a couple different things, but mine is a lot of retaliation too. So,
yeah.
But back to parental alienation, the dads will go in and say, she's keeping the kids from me. But then true parental alienation is what those abusers then do. The abusers are the ones who are like, and this is what
they'll put you in supervised visits. You'll only get to call your kid like once a week. And then
the mom, you're then alienated. So moms, in order to fix this problem, moms just have to be completely kept away. So this is how they're treating abuse cases is Mom goes in with true allegations. Kids come in with true allegations. Mom is silenced. Mom is told that she is crazy and unstable for even breathing in court. I mean, they're like, you're too emotional.
Yeah.
And we're like, and that I'm just sitting here because it's at you. I can't even.
Or if you show emotion, you're too emotional, you're unstable. You're cold and you don't care.
You're this. Yeah.
You can't win. There's no winning.
No, you're for sure a witch, no matter what.
And
Where's your broom?
right. And we call it the modern day witch hunt.
Because if you look like a witch, if you talk like a witch, if you look like a woman, if you talk like a woman, you gotta lose custody.
Yeah. So I like to say it's like the modern day putting the wifey in the psych ward and giving her a lobotomy.
100%.
It's their modern way of being able to go, as soon as things go bad or they know the relationship's ending or they feel like they're losing control, the number one tactic is for them to say, well, shut up, she's unstable. She has mental health issues. But that bothers me so much because in our country, these days, we're very open about mental health. It's very socially acceptable to talk about it and all these things. But
many of us have been well diagnosed before we even deal with a court psychiatrist who tells us something completely off the wall that was framed.
Yeah, we'll get into psych evals in a minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I was saying was, what was I saying?
You were saying that the pink slips, what they're doing, the 50-50 holds, they're putting in the psych ward.
Yeah, and that's just their way of right away. Oh, I was saying in today's society, we're very accepting of mental health. We all very openly talk about it. But for some reason, in family court, it's like if you had any past diagnosis, if you had anything, oh, that's reason to take away your kid. But past diagnosis isn't a bad thing. I would say 90% of the country's been diagnosed with something at some point.
Anxiety is so normal. Depression is common, especially if you live where there's no sun.
Yeah.
That wasn't even on mine.
And it's not a problem to have been diagnosed something and then seek help, and do something about it. It's a problem to have a big issue and you're walking the streets and you don't even know your own name and you've never gotten any help. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But having sought help for issues before, it shouldn't be a tool that's weaponized against you once there's custody issues.
It used to be that the court likes to see you getting better. So if you have bipolar, if you have schizophrenia, whatever, the dads, it was a lot of dads who had this. We were not seeing 20 years ago, moms were never losing custody. That was super, super rare. And if they were, you probably needed to lose custody as a mom. It's, and coming from both my parents going through it and all of the things, like my situation was necessary. Today is a completely different situation.
It's like they're making up for those times.
So they are. What reparations?
What happened is there was a big father's rights movement. And so they kind of like switched. And now I think if they settle outside of court, the mom and dad, if they're getting a divorce, then usually the mom's not going to lose custody because they're going to come to some agreement, or that dad really doesn't want all that responsibility. They want every other weekend or something.
Which is non-high conflict. Just be a disillusion. They're agreeing. Yeah, we're agreeing, which is the best way to do a divorce. We are not talking about those types though, because it's rare when you do agree. These are the high conflict types you're talking about, right?
Right. But the ones that go all the way to trial, like they do not settle out of court, they don't settle in mediation, those ones, I think it's like a very low percentage that the moms will get custody. It's typically going at that. So now it's like flipped. And people don't realize that because whenever a mom loses custody, she gets ostracized socially and everybody goes, what did she do? She must have done something horrible. Because most people's mindsets still are, moms always get custody. Like, you have to do something so bad to lose custody. And it's not true. And actually, there are so many tactics. Well, first of all, let me say, if they go all the way to trial and the case is labeled high conflict, usually in this case, there is one abuser and one person trying so hard to defend themselves, to just get some sort of accountability for all the things that have happened. That's typically what's going on behind the scenes, but it's very hard to tell who's who, because typically abusers are really good at being charming and being believable and putting on a show.
Yep.
And typically survivors are more like emotional and I can't believe what's happening. Oh my God, what's happening? So then, yeah, they look unstable, and that's everybody gets it so confused. And also nowadays there are so many tactics. Like you said in your case, you had domestic violence. Well, I struggle with that because a lot of abusers are getting criminal charges on the other spouse
For math.
for a scratch, for something, because they know it can be used to like get protection orders, get restraining orders, and get custody. So I've gone through all the orders. They will coerce the other one to react. Yep. And they will push them and push them and push them. And of course, we're all in control of our own actions. But I don't know, psychologically, whenever you're in it, it can be hard.
They put the bears. So they obviously, so both the abuser and family court does it.
Yeah.
Family court makes money. So they need to create this narrative. I mean, my case alone has my judge probably bought her whole family Christmas. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
easily. I paid everybody's salaries this year in the courthouse.
Yeah.
The amount of money that gets racketed, it's RICO. Because they already know you have tiny, they see you have an estate, they see, yes.
And especially lawyers, like you hire a lawyer and you feel like this person is going to protect me. But really, they're a lot of times
they protect they're
helping stir the conflict or keep things going so that they can keep their billable hours and keep going, especially if you have a larger estate and you think they're protecting you, but maybe they're doing little things behind the scenes or whatever.
Yep.
So sometimes you go into it maybe thinking, oh, we can come to an agreement. We can handle this. We can do this. But then you get with lawyers and you get into court and the conflict just starts to snowball.
Well, it becomes something you go into court thinking, I have this in the bag. I see so many memes still where they're like, oh, he thinks he's going to take me back to court. I have all his receipts, all his evidence, his timeline of what he's been doing. It does that matter. And people to court, and the opposite happened.
Yeah.
And that has just been because I've been on both sides of it. I have been on the normal side of court where it was the normal way of things, like within the last 20 this craziness has started within the last 20 or so years.
Yeah.
Before this,
get into that. Yeah.
I've been in the normal court situation where it is like evidence does matter. Testimony matters. Our first two trials, it was all about evidence. It was all about testimony. We had a different judge. Our judge, I think I can say his name now, the Honorable Judge Quinn. I am a forever fan of the Honorable Judge Quinn. He is now retired and he sided against our guardian ad litem and saved my children for a year and a half during the appeals process. And the same guardian ad litem was allowed to come back with this new judge and new magistrate. So we have had a different magistrate and a different judge. And at that time, my first experience with this around 2016, 2017, it was by the book. It was exactly how court should go. It was, okay, dad's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Dad actually got 2 years full supervised visitation for domestic violence and for a situation that happened with our children. I don't know if I want to talk about it too much because the kids probably will see it. So they don't really know too much about some of that stuff because I have sheltered my kids so much that they didn't even know that their dad was like this until last year. And that's when they started coming to me. But we had a normal trial before. So I did get to experience the way the stereotype is. You go into court, you've got your evidence, you got everything. You knock it out of the park. You got it in the bag. You've got your kids. You've got your things were based on facts. Things were based on facts, and it was a no-brainer. And that is not what is happening now. It is literally the opposite. And I feel everybody in our community is like, did we go into another portal? Did we go into a different alternate reality? Because everything we've grown up learning for 36 years, we're both 36. Mm-hmm. We're 80s babies. Everything from then on. Right. Was I you the whole sentence? Is this not nothing we've learned? It's like all gone out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's crazy.
It's based on profit now.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, it's nothing's based on.
It's a serious evidence or anything.
Yeah, and a family or based on fact. No. But you have been in it for 10 years. You've been in the system and family court, and so you have like experience from before. Really, things took a bad turn. That's what you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had justice. I do have faith in our Ohio justice system still. I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the objections phase before the Court of Appeals, so I haven't experienced it yet, but I do have 8 constitutional violations in this case alone. So I'm hoping the Court of Appeals and the Ohio Supreme Court that I can still have faith in it, because that's where it's headed. But
yeah,
yes, I have had good experiences as well, but I
haven't depended on what judge you get, just even their mood that day. 100%. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be like all up to this one person and have all this power, all this discretion.
The discretion is one
just based off of what they think, their opinion. And we all know it can take so long to truly know somebody, to truly understand what's going on. How could you possibly make an opinion off of, I don't know, very little?
They're not. I can tell you right now, they're not. They are making their decisions completely contrary to the evidence. I don't think my judge actually even looked at any of my stuff, and my manager didn't. My ex-husband created our agreements word for word, and they just rubber stamp it. And rubber stamping, by the way, illegal. So that is also a thing that I have going for me in my case. But that's what they're doing. So they're rubber stamping. It's basically whoever is offering them the most money or whichever. So kids are getting bought. There's multiple different things.
It's an pay-to-play system.
And it depends on the county. It depends on the judge. So we know one mom who she was in the one state, and then she won a judgment in this one, and her abusive ex-husband said, oh, I'm going to go do what I feel like in this next state. He took it over to the next state. And the other judge literally over minutes within a 4-minute
and he went to the other state.
And the judge is putting her in jail or something, like crazy.
Yeah.
So this is, I like to say, it's the rise of unchecked power. It's the rise of zero accountability. It's the rise of those powerful people. I mean, it is one of the biggest scandals in U.S. history, like Christine said, Christine Miller. Yeah, it is revolutionary because it's so insane, but it's happening different counties. There's different things happening.
Right.
Differently in different counties, and it's tied to CPS. It's tied to foster care. It's tied to the human trafficking, sex trafficking industry globally. And then, of course, family court, because it's how it's funded.
Right.
So the funding is channeled down, and then the agencies, the foster care and CPS agencies are raking in millions, multi-millions of dollars. and then they need kids. So they're just on the prowl for kids. They'll make up whatever they have to make up and take your kid and put them into foster care because that's their job and that's money for them. There's bonuses attached to that. It's a sale. Your kid is a sale. They're on the prowl for money, and there are price tags attached to these kids' heads in CPS, foster care, and family court. So my 4 kids, that generates quite a bit of income for family court because they know I'm not going to stop fighting. They know that I'm not going to stop doing what I need to do. And that just generates income because then they can make me keep coming back. I don't have anything going on right now, but it is mine's very retaliatory. Mine's a power game. Mine and the judge thinking she's God and the magistrate thinking he's God.
Well, and that's the thing too, is if you aren't doing what they like or you speak against them, you get retaliation. Oh, retaliation is your kids. Like, that's what it comes down to. Okay, well, I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you're saying.
Even politically, they don't like your religion. They told me that my faith, they weaponized my faith against me. These are very, 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 we have political differences. We have religious differences. They know it and they weaponize it. And that you can't take somebody's kids because they're a Republican or a Democrat, or you can't take somebody's kids because they're an atheist or they're a Christian. You can't take somebody's kids because of their views on the world, on like whether they recycle or not. Like, that's crazy. And that's what they're doing is they're like, I don't like what she stands for, so I'm just going to take her kids. Or I don't like this. And I don't even get into politics. But it's I do get into corruption and I do get into collusion. And to me, it's not even like a right wing, left wing thing. It's a good versus evil. And that's where I step in, is the moral compass. I'm so shy social media wise. Like, I have 50,000 pictures in my phone and I maybe post like 3 of them a year because I like to be really hands on and present.
Yeah.
And 2, I don't have time, but this is serious. Like, I'm like, you can put me on camera if you want for the kids. Like,
I know it's hard. It's hard because you're always scared of like the retaliation. But then, like, for me, I went into it very naively thinking, I don't have a bad history. Why wouldn't I get my ass? I'm a good mom.
Yeah.
But why would this not? And then I still trusted my ex in a lot of places.
Yeah.
That he would do the right thing for the kids. But I was completely blindsided. And then, of course, I made my mistakes, but I didn't know the monster I was against.
Yes.
And so then that brought me into this whole world where I started researching more. I started looking into it more. I started meeting other moms with similar stories or stories that are way worse than mine.
Yeah.
And some moms not having seen their kids for years. And that just broke my heart because I do say whenever you separate a child and a mom, you're killing 2 souls. The child relies so much on the emotional stability of the mom, so much of their mental health and their stability relies on that. So ripping children away from their moms because of some problem between the mom and dad or just things like that, it's so wrong, and it's going to hurt our country worse than anybody can imagine because it's happening more than anybody knows.
Yeah.
Because so many moms are scared to speak out because the more they do, the less they're going to see their kids.
They threaten us.
They threaten them, and they hate gag orders, which are very unconstitutional, but they silence the mom after she gets the children taken away.
I don't have a gag order, but I was told that I'm going to continue being supervised if I keep speaking.
Right. They'll use something else, like even So you get scared. You don't want to speak out because you don't want to hurt the situation anymore. But then after you meet all these other moms and you've seen what's truly happening, you're like, well,
that is necessary.
It's never happened before without people truly standing up and getting loud. So it's necessary at this point. Maybe we'll have consequences, maybe not. I don't know, but
I may be in jail.
it's so important because we literally are losing moms, probably a few a month or so.
Moms are committing suicide because of this. A lot of moms are committing suicide.
And whenever you're in this community and we're all together and we truly know, okay, this mom over here in this state, she just got arrested for, it's usually something really silly like custody interference, some
way Christine get arrested for expired tags at a parked car that somebody else ran into on her street and they arrested her.
And you'll be shocked because they'll arrest them and then they'll put like a higher bond on them than an actual really dangerous criminal. And they won't even get a bond at all. They'll just be kept. So then you'll see, okay, this mom up here got arrested. This one has committed suicide. This one's going into treatment because she can't take it anymore. This one. And so you're seeing this whenever you're really entering this underworld that we've entered is what I call it. You're seeing it so much more. And then you're like, wow, this is really, really bad.
It's an epidemic.
And yeah, that's what we call it. We call it a national epidemic.
It is. Everybody, I think, calls it that. It truly is. We are at epidemic rates with moms going to jail for nothing. I like to say 0 grounds. The 0 grounds are literally like she jaywalked. Like that is literally what they're doing. It's she jaywalked. She didn't hurt her children. And so then supervised visits is another one. And there's no reason to be on supervised visits. These moms, and this is what I want, especially for my moms back home to know, the married moms have no idea. Even so much that one of my single mom friends, who I'm no longer friends with, said, those moms, yeah, they did something wrong. You had no idea. And that's not, and I'm with these moms are like something wrong. We had no idea. I didn't know. I was naive. We were naive. And when I sent it and I was like, how is this possible? What is going on here? Yeah. But on top of that, I'll also say, because I connected with so many moms in so many states, I have seen that I don't actually have it that bad where I'm at. Oh yeah, to California, the reunification here, Arizona, different things where I'm like, oh, like I actually could get a jury trial here if I really want to. That's unheard of anywhere else. Even though it still is very hard to attain because it costs so much money. It's not really that obtainable. But appeals are 10 grand just to get to that. None of the moms have money after trial court because they purposely bleed you dry. They bleed you dry. Yeah. Both moms and dads. They bleed you dry. So they're so in their house. It is so
profitable. This is what's profitable. If you go into family court, what's profitable is to take the kid away from the protective parent, because then that just stirs up so much because they will spend anything. They will get rid of everything to have their kid. Yeah. And that you end up handing over all your life savings. And there's stake. Hey, people are selling their houses to get their kids back to paper. And then on the other side, you have like the CPS foster care thing. It's so profitable to remove a kid. Yeah. So you're just seeing in all ways, all these systems that are meant to protect the children are actually profiting more off of putting the kids in danger, taking them away from their parents, to just all the things, taking them away from family. That's what's more profitable. And whenever you put money and children under the same roof, people are going to act like they care about the kids, but truly it's always going to be the money. It's going to be the biggest motivation for everybody.
The best interest of the kids. Yeah, that's what I keep wanting to say. It's never about the best interest of the kids.
No.
It's the opposite. And so family court has just become a huge racket of the abusers are the ones winning custody. I like to say the P. Diddy's, they're the ones winning custody. Mm-hmm. Even like I keep wanting to say Kelly Wolf, Scott Wolf, the people like the Party of Five crew, like the people that we see, Megan King Edmonds.
Oh yeah, and it happen with a lot of celebrities now too.
It's a lot of celebrities having it happen, and the ones that they're dealing. If you're seeing a mom lose custody, you can almost guarantee in 95% of those cases, that dad, he's either cluster B, which encompasses narcissism, or he is some kind of psychopath or sociopath. They're all encompassed. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but what we're seeing is these types it's a specific type that is overcoming family court and with taking over family court.
Their playground. It's their playground. They found out that they can use it.
There's so many loopholes and broken areas in family court that what's happening, we're seeing a huge, huge epidemic of millions of abusive. There are narc women too. And besides the family rights or the father's rights movement, there's a lot of kids coming up that were parentally alienated, and they are creating change as well. And some are like, oh my God, 50-50, because my mom was terrible. She kept me from my dad. And some are like, my dad's terrible. He kept me from my mom. So it's hard to gauge for these kids, they're just all about like equal parenting. But for people like us, there is a niche, and there is, to actually do the research, what we're seeing is that it used to be high conflict cases were this small. That's why you weren't seeing it 20 years ago. There has been a sudden and massive boom of narcissism in family court and abusive dads and moms, but it's 75% moms going for it, 25% dads. So we are seeing the dads be perpetrators more. It is a boom of domestic violence and coercive control. And it's out of control because of the unchecked accountability, because there's no oversight, both with the financial aspect and who's on the ground doing all this.
Yeah, you go in, anything. No, you go in thinking, there's these court orders and this is going to protect me.
Court orders aren't even constitutional. They hold no legal backing, but when you have an abuse,
the ones whenever you first, maybe file for divorce and they tell you
the temp orders,
you can't move money, you can't do this,
do that. The original restraining order, that's the beginner restraining order where everything is frozen and it's halted for the judge.
Right, but you think, oh, well, he can't do that because it would be going against court orders.
Oh, they can't perjure in court. They're going to get in trouble.
Wrong. That's against the rules. No. They can go against court orders all the time.
Is that your odds are the dads get away with murder and they get slaps on the wrist. The moms are going to jail for violating even things they didn't even know. And that's what's happening. The lawyers are slipping in things. I don't even know. We've had about 40,000 agreements. I don't even know which one I'm supposed to be following. They do it on purpose. They just create a new one. I'm like, I thought that this was the last one. There's so many loopholes and strategies that these evil lawyers, it's a specific type of lawyer too, who helps these abusive monsters. They will do it too. They're finding the loopholes and they're getting,
these lawyers that come in, the ones that are in family court. How do I explain this?
The flying monkeys.
They have learned that it is so profitable. And it is such a terrible use of a law degree. Yep. Because you will be so shocked at what they are willing to do for a paycheck from their client, what they're willing to do to another person and kids that they've never met, they don't know. And
the perjury and false allegations that run rampant, that the lawyers encourage and participate in themselves and push on the docket is insane. It is truly RICO. It's the biggest organized crime scheme I have seen across the board. I took organized crime in college.
Constantly been like, how do these people sleep at night?
How do they sleep at night? How does my judge go to bed at night? She is a mother. That's another thing. Us moms go in and we're like, oh my God, yes, I voted for my judge. I am so happy it's a mom with 3 kids. She's going to understand me. they are more vicious than the men in family court. The females,
it's like they're having to prove themselves in a male dominant place,
or they have deep-rooted mommy issues. I think a lot of these people have deep-rooted issues and hate women, and then they end up at family court, and there's a ton of them. And they just think women are batshit crazy. They think they're unstable. They think they can't make stable decisions, and we just have to take the kids from them. But what's really funny is a lot of these dads are getting diagnosed. I know we haven't touched on the psyche evals yet. A lot of these dads are getting diagnosed with worse things than moms, and the dads have full custody.
Right.
My ex got diagnosed with something way worse, and these psyche evals don't work. They're just like, they tell them what to diagnose with, but to go along with the narrative.
Like in a very organized way, because
I'm not organized.
a lot of people don't understand. So, yeah. Well, whenever you get into a custody battle, a lot of times, say the dad claims that the mom is mentally unstable and she shouldn't have the kids. And he tries to use maybe a past diagnosis or something like that, or just some event that happened, right? So the way you have to prove it is they'll do maybe a court-ordered psych eval, or you yourself will go get one because you feel like you have to get out of supervised visitation or anything like that. Well, they can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So this is just another big money grab thing. There's all these different things that are branched off from the family court that are money grabs. But you will maybe have, like, I don't know, it depends on how many sessions you end up doing, but you go and you do these sessions with these psych people and you take these tests, and it can mine cost me $20,000.
You know, 20,000?
20,000, yeah.
I think ours was 5,000, all said and done. Out the window, 5,000. Holy cow. Yeah, I heard them be that much.
Yeah. And so what that ends up being is like so many sessions, which if you truly understand diagnosing something, you know that it doesn't just take a few sessions. You have certain diagnoses in like 3 years to diagnose. Like, you have to truly get in there, get to know somebody and know them over time.
Absolutely.
So then you get the report, and this report is supposed to prove something. But like I said, I consider the lawyers third-party abusers, and then there's all these other things like supervised visitation. There's a paycheck. Guardian ad litem. There's a paycheck. Psych evaluations. There's a paycheck. Like
the parenting coordinator. You got that out your guardian ad litem got to like, they look too great.
You get in there, and then suddenly, oh, well, you need this, and you need that, and you need that. So you're just, and all these people are profiting off of your supposed high conflict custody case. Yeah. And let me also say that you might be getting a divorce, and you might be going through custody, and you think, once I'm done, this is going to be over. This is going to cost me all this. And once I'm done, no, not even close. Like, you're going to keep going back. You're going to be constantly under this microscope.
Temp orders are lasting for 10 years. And temp is short for temporary.
Well, temporary orders are whenever you first file, and while your case is pending, you're put into temporary orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they say, okay, say the higher earner needs to pay spousal support to the other parent or child support. And then they do the custody agreement, the schedule, all of that. And this is supposed to be temporary while your case is pending, right? People end up in that for a year, 2 years, maybe more. Sometimes their divorce and custody case can go on all this time. This is possibly major lost time with your kids.
Yep. A lot of it is age out before the temp orders are even given, because there's a lot of delays. There's a lot of pushbacks. But I'm in temp orders right now too. Because the final order is a temp.
Right. You're in, and you started another case. So say you get into temporary orders, but something can happen right even before you get into it that maybe affects custody or something. Something really quick can happen because maybe your ex gets a domestic violence charge against you, or, whenever you're first divorcing, in the first couple weeks, tensions are so high and there's so much stress and things happen in these times. It's like it's the most dangerous time in a woman's life.
It's very dangerous because if we're talking about those high conflict situations, this merges in with the domestic violence and abuse and in a lot of these types of abuse, it's narcissistic abuse, which is not always physical, and coercive control. So a lot of things are happening around this time where the control ramps up, the fear
Lays on who's controls, and they'll do things to try and gain it.
Yeah.
So you could easily end up in temporary orders where custody splits, and then all this stuff just changes, and you're blindsided because you didn't realize that this was even possible. Well, then you're put in temporary orders, and like I said, these temporary orders can go on 1 year, 2 years longer. You're losing time with your kids, but not only that, the courts will end up being like, well, they're doing well.
Yes, they're doing well, and things seem to be fine. With so evident,
we don't want to shake up their lives too much. So you'll go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna see a mom. I've been a primary caretaker all these years. Like, that's going to mean something. No, after temporary orders are done, and then you are in temporary orders all this time, and stay alone time has gone by, and then they say that, whether like, well, he's done this for a year, he's doing a great job. Those prior years where you were maybe their primary caretaker, stay-at-home mom, whatever, it can be wiped clean. Like, it could just be completely insignificant and not matter.
Same with domestic violence past records. People are like, oh, well, if they had a domestic violence record, we were not allowed to speak upon our previous domestic violence past because our magistrate stopped us and silenced us. Dad was allowed to go into facts from 2017, but mom is silenced. And so they're really playing sides, and they're really allowing certain people to be able to say one thing or not another based on if they're paying, or if they like you, the retaliation factor. So there's so many. It's just like opinions, and it's opinions. It's basically family court is not based on fact. It's not based on evidence anymore. It is based on false allegations, opinions, and retaliatory behavior and money. And that's really all it ends is for false allegations. And once they do it, then you just have to end up spending all this money to prove that it's not triple. Yes, nobody cares about perjury or any of that. The false people are trying to pass false allegations acts because that is so rampant that moms and dads are losing custody. You just go in there. I would say 95% of our motions that we had, they had not one affidavit attached of, which is a statement of fact, and they had not one piece of evidence attached. It's not. So the moms and dads are just going in with this piece of paper, and they're like, she went to Bonham and Bailey Circus, and she sold the whole elephant, and the elephant stomped on all my kids. And this and judge is like, oh my God, this sounds legit. This elephant sounds really terrible. This is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you're like, this me and literally just choked my kids last week, and you are going to give them custody and we off of the line. You think, oh,
We'll get into that.
yeah. But
A lot of these moms that have lost their kids all of a sudden, it'll be something called an ex parte order, which it means that there was no hearing, there was no due process, there was no nothing. All it is one of the parents fills something out, makes the claims, says, this is really bad, this is an emergency you're on. It's always an emergency. And then it's always an emergency. And then the judge has to get it on a table, and then they sign over custody, and then they usually do like a temporary restraining order or something. Yeah. And that day, all of a sudden, you could just lose your kids. Yeah, because of this order that was put in. Well,
with no hearing, you think, no evidence. You think,
Okay, well, surely you could just get it turned around real quick with like a hearing. No, this could turn into a year-long battle in court to try and prove your innocence, to get your kid back. And I've sent it thousands of dollars and all this money, and a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't fight because they don't have the money, they don't have the means, and then they'll just lose their kids.
in family court, it's guilty until you're proven innocent. In criminal court, it's innocent until you're proven guilty. That is the difference, is we are automatically guilty, and then we have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to prove our innocence, where it used to be the opposite. You come in with all the facts, present the evidence, and let a well-educated judge or magistrate do the deciding for you after they have looked through all of the facts, all of the information, they've done all of the research, etc., which is how our law is supposed to work.
Right.
And what's happening is the state judges, nobody is following the federal government or the federal constitutional law. So we're seeing human rights violations, constitutional violations, ADA accommodation violations. There are so many disability violations. I have PTSD.
You don't have rights whenever you walk into family.
I have rights that you're not allowed to bring your cell phone. And these judges, the way that they treat you, I went into one of my cases. This is a big thing of how judges, Christine's touching on about how judges are treating pro se litigants, which is when you represent yourself, and just litigants in general. And I remember getting on the stand, and I had brought in evidence this thick, and the magistrate looks at opposing attorney and is like, he makes fun of me, and in front of everybody, and he goes, she's got all these allegations with no evidence to back it up. And I just sit there on the stand, and I'm like, we have a book sitting right next to me this thick. Not only is it part of the judge's exhibit, but we have it on the table, and they just pretend like it's this thick.
Can you just get an idea? Guys just decide. Can you guys just, you need me also be dealing with somebody who doesn't have a law degree that I can shake hands with behind the doors and make faith.
Yeah, and you just work it out. That you and your abusive ex, can you guys literally, and like, this is why we're here. This is why I'm just off to face
Petty little things. We are begging.
This is like, oh, these are life-threatening things. We don't want to be in court either. We came to you because we don't want to be here either. We don't want to pay you. Yeah. We don't want, well, I didn't know who. That's another thing. A lot of the misunderstanding is these judges are like, well, they picked each other. Let them just figure it out. With cluster Bs, this is a huge, huge point. With cluster Bs, including narcissists, it is extremely rare for you to know that this is how they are when you are with them. The mask typically comes off after the fact, and you realize that you were married to a monster. You had kids with a monster. And a lot of times it doesn't even come out until family court, because that is where you can really get down and dirty. It is a narcissist playground, and they have all of their playing tools laid out for them. And so it's whether they want to pick it up and play dirty, or they want to continue just being a good human being and try to settle this up.
It'll shock you. And the whole time you'll just be like, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't.
Yes. I knew mine after the fact. I had the damn shopper after the fact of 10 years. And then I've been doing it for 10 years. So I'm not shocked anymore. No, when you say at this,
yeah.
Your ex would not do something like that. He's so nice, and
man, you're like, whoa.
He
did not. It's bizarre to find out what happens whenever you're on the other side of the fence. Like, you're not sitting there, being there, what do you call it? Their supplies.
They're flying monkey.
I like the same way. I was listening to them whenever you lose the alignment. You're no longer aligned.
They come out in full force against you and against their own children.
Mm-hmm.
They
know a lot of these abusers. They know that kids are the number one tool to use against you, because that will hurt you the most.
You see, in the way that you can tell, if you see a dad with full custody,
it's a red flag.
It's a red flag in today's world.
It's a red flag.
It's a red flag because it's not it's not the way that it used to be, where it's like, oh God, that mom just couldn't get it together. This poor kid, well, let dad have it come in and just take over for these kids. It is the opposite. But you see a dad with custody now, and that mom is not a complete whack. Like if you were like, oh my God, the mom just couldn't get it together for you. And it's not one of those stories where like the mom is notorious for being a hot mess. It is an extreme red flag. Mm-hmm. Even if it's presented, like even I was just reading about Megan King and Jim Edmonds, because we were reading about it, and it was talking about how she gave one of the kids Ritalin unprescribed, and you're reading about it from the outside, which is how we would read about it, and you're like, oh no, she did something wrong, what did she do? But then I bet it was a situation where mom and dad did not agree on medication, and one of the kids most likely needed something, and mom was seeing something that they needed, and dad refused because maybe one is holistic, one is not. Mm. And this is what happens. So and they'll just take custody from a mom, no matter what, over something like this, that dad would do the same.
Well, he probably put in an ex parte.
That's exactly what he probably,
well, I think CPS got involved. Like I guess because it was in the kid's backpack or something. I think the medicine.
Okay.
So I think the kid's school called or something. Okay. That he probably weaponized it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So these things you'll weaponize. So I am not quick to say the mom did something wrong, because it's very rare that moms are doing things wrong. Moms have not changed that's the thing. Moms have not changed from decades ago.
Yeah.
They're the same moms. Actually, moms have become better because we have resources now. We have a therapy. We're taking care of ourselves through mental health, like we touched on. We have self-care. We have, a lot of us have support through different avenues. Even social media it can make you feel like you're not doing enough, but it can also make you feel like you're doing just enough. You're okay.